So our next fishbowl teller is Bonnie Schulman. I would love to give you a little pitch for that, but she simply said, "It's about me. I'm innocent." So Bonnie, come on up. Tell us your story.
How's that? Fine.
Good?
Mm-hmm. Well, those of you who know me will probably expect me to start this story something like back in the 60s. But this is actually back in the 80s when I was a graduate student in mathematics and sure that I was, going to solve some great unsolved problem. I went to a conference and most of the graduate students who were there were 10 to 12 years younger than me, and that wasn't unusual because I didn't start college till I was 30. And so I hung out with these younger people, and I usually found, or they found me, the pretty much nerdiest, misfit, socially person who was attracted to me, and I kind of liked that, and we would hang out. So I met this young man, and at the end of the day of talks, we would go up on the hill and smoke pot together. And listen to my little, that's why I had to situate this in the 80s, my little transistor radio. I love this radio. I used to listen to baseball games on this radio back in the day, and it came with me everywhere. So I'm a real radio head. I love listening to the radio wherever I am. And then that's how I did it. So we would sit there on the hill, we'd be listening to my radio, we'd be lying back, looking at the stars, talking about philosophy and life and death, and that was our idea of a good time, it really was. And then come back down the hill, we were staying in these dorms that, anybody here from New York? They looked like Left Rack City. They were these big, anonymous, stone, concrete, they could have been prisons, tall buildings, they all looked alike. And I had dutifully, figured out by counting down the hall which was my door. I had a friend of mine, woman, roommate, and I was good to go. So we come back down, a little spaced out, go back to the dorm, and say goodbye to each other, going in our different dorms, and my key's sticking, I can't get the door open, but somebody comes out and I walk in and I count down the doors, and it's kind of a little ajar, and I think, oh, she didn't lock the door. Well, all right. So I go in, put down my transistor radio, drop my pants, drop in the rest, and all of a sudden I hear this voice, "Oh, I forgot to mention there were nylons hanging," and that should have been a clue because neither myself nor my roommate wear nylons. Anyway, okay, where was I? Pants dropped? Right. So there I am, and I hear this voice, "Who's there?" Male voice. And I'm like, oh, shit. I'm in the wrong room. So I'm kind of pulling my pants back on, and then I hear a woman's voice pushing open the slightly open door. "What's going on here?" At which point, I pick up the rest of my clothes and dash out the door, kind of turning back. I think they saw my face in the light. Very embarrassing. The worst part was I left my transistor radio there. So I knew, I had to get my transistor radio back. That is how I was willing to endure humiliation. I see them in line. I know who they are because they're an older couple the next day, and I go up and I say, "Hello, remember me?" And the woman very nicely says, "Oh, yes, dear, we remember you." I said, "Well, I left my transistor radio in the room." And the husband says, "Yes, we know. Why don't you come back with me and I'll give it to you." I say, "Okay." So we go back. He opens the door, hands me the transistor radio, and goes, So I'm going to end by saying that I had 2 stories I could tell, and they both had the title, The Married Man. The first one was a tragedy, loss of innocence, and I chose the humorous, I'm innocent one to tell you tonight.